because I think the background enough is reason enough just to have her up here. But as we begin to talk and pick her brain about the way she thinks, the way she coaches, I think you'll really find out she's more than just an Olympian. So those of you who had a chance to maybe look into what she's accomplished, you'll probably know that she's a former Olympian. Back in the year 2000, she was not only a member of the Olympic team, but she was elected as the captain of the women's gymnastics team. Now, her career started years before that. She first burst onto the scene back, I think, when she was back in 2000, or back when she was 12 or 14 years old, when she first started competing in national and international events. But the year 2000 is what really kind of maybe put her on the map. And her Olympic story is a fantastic story for anybody who's really looked into it. She was a captain of the team, as I mentioned, and as anybody here knows, the Olympics, women's gymnastics is the focal point of the Olympic event. And she came into the Olympics as the captain, as the United States all-around champion, so high expectations. And she came upon the vault. And along with other individuals, other Olympians, Elise had some issues on the vault and stumbled a few times. And it was discovered that the vault was set too low, 2 inches too low. Pitchers, imagine the rubber being pushed back 2 inches and what effect that'll have on your velocity. Infielders, imagine first base set 2 inches closer to home plate and how that'll affect their timing and getting the ball over to first base. So imagine an Olympic athlete performing in front of millions across the world. The vault set 2 inches too low, and the effect that will have on your performance, not only physically but mentally. She stumbled a few times on the vault, found herself in 35th place overall. Once the organizers realized that, hey, we messed up, they allowed individuals to come back in and redo their vaults. At that time, Elise had no shot at medaling, along with other individuals. She could have easily walked home. I'm done with this. I don't need to do this. But she didn't. She came back on the vault, performed her vaults, moved herself up to 13th place. She didn't medal in the individuals. She finished the highest that Olympics among any U.S. women's gymnastic team member. Okay? But the real great story about that is she could have easily left, but she came back and competed. She wasn't done. She fought for that 13th place position. Fantastic story. The team finished 4th. However, 10 years later, they found out that there were some illegal shenanigans going on with the Chinese Olympic team. So they booted them out, and the U.S. team finished 3rd place. And I believe Elise brought her bronze medal with her. And you'll all be able to take pictures with her with that afterwards. 3 months after the Olympics, she enrolled in college and was a freshman at the University of Michigan. When she left the University of Michigan, she was the most decorated women's gymnastics team member in the history of Michigan. 14-time All-American. 14-time All-American. NCAA All-Around Champion in 2001. The balance beam champion in 2002. The uneven bar champion in 2004. Named All Big Ten 4 times. Michigan Female Athlete of the Year in 2004. The most decorated University of Michigan gymnast of all time. And rightfully so, elected to the University of Michigan Hall of Fame in 2015. I'll bring her up here in a few minutes, okay? Now, it's her fault. So, Following University of Michigan, she spent some time performing in Cirque du Soleil. She also did some broadcasting work for Big Ten Network, and then she found herself becoming a coach at the University of Washington. She spent 5 years as an assistant coach and was named the head coach back in 2015, and her success continued. 2017, she was the Pac-12 Coach of the Year, and for over the last 2 years, she's had her team in the top 20 nationally. So the credentials alone make her the right person to have up here. Okay, but please listen to her story and hopefully develop some questions, because we'll have a Q&A session afterwards. But please help me in welcoming Elise Ray-Statz. But actually, I cut a lot of it off, didn't I? So,
chapters.
Yes, those are chapters. So, Elise and I talked a lot about, what we're going to talk about up here, but one thing came to mind. You have a young son, a year old, and if at some point he's going to come to you and say, Mom, what are all these medals? Like, this is fantastic. Is there one achievement that you can think of off the top of your head that you would want to talk to him about first because it provided some value or some meaning to you or some experience that you think he can learn from?
Great question. He told me he was going to throw me a curveball this question, so here we go. Well, certainly my Olympic experience is really unique, and it was really difficult. But attached to it is so many lessons that I have carried into my adult life and will continue to. So it's certainly that story, the Olympic story, is one to share. But my favorite competition ever in my career was 2000 Nationals. So there were 2 competitions in order to qualify for the Olympics. One being Nationals, the second being the Olympic Trials. But Nationals, I won that year, but it was my best competition ever in my career. And I've never had a competition where everything felt so easy and seamless, and it just, I don't know if you guys have had games like that where just everything is clicking. It's very rare. But what I did do is I prepared so hard for that meet mentally. I did a lot of work just to prepare my mental game for that competition, and I think what it did was just pour out of me because of all that preparation. So that was a really interesting, that was the first time that I realized how powerful your mind is.
Great. Now, I think one of the first things when I started talking to Elise, one of the first things I asked her was Cirque du Soleil. So I know you all want to hear about the Olympics, but I'm running the show up here, so we're going to start with Cirque du Soleil. Raise a hand, who here has not seen a Cirque du Soleil event? Has not seen?
Oh, that is your homework.
Yes,
everybody must go.
That has to be a bucket list item. And now, I think, I've never been to a Vegas show, but I hear they're the best. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm infatuated with Cirque du Soleil. I know you went into that after college, but what kind of experience was that like? How different was that for you, and what kind of work did you have to put in to be a performer? You did it for 2.5, 3 years, right?
Yeah, great question. So it's so funny because everybody's like, ooh, bronze medal, it's very exciting, right? And then say, oh, that was part of Cirque du Soleil for 3 years, and that gets a way bigger reaction than the bronze medal thing. So Cirque du Soleil is a very prestigious performing company. It's essentially a very fancy circus. It's really, really beautiful, really creative work. What my favorite part about it was, so I was trained as a gymnast. That's all I knew how to do. I trained, 18 plus years as a gymnast. Very regimented, 4 events, certain types of conditioning, very regimented. When I got to Cirque du Soleil, all of that went out the window. So I had to learn an entirely new discipline, which was really humbling because I was really bad at first. I actually didn't even make it the first time in. So you go through this long audition process. I didn't make it, so I had to redo it a second time just to get better acclimated to this new discipline, because it was so different than anything that I had ever done. And second, when you go to this audition, it's like a 4-month audition, is they teach you how to become an artist instead of an athlete. So basically, they want to get you out of your one-dimensional box of an athlete and turn you into an artist. So we had to do singing lessons and clowning lessons and things that I do not sing, nor do I clown. So you just had to strip down all of your everything that you knew, really, and you could just threw the embarrassment out the window, you just got vulnerable, and you just dove in. But what you came out as was an artist. I really came out as a performer, and it was a really, really neat experience because, 18 years of gymnastics, and I dove into something brand new, and I was really bad at it at first, and then I just kept going, and came out the artist that I wanted to be. So it was a very humbling, wonderful experience at the age of 21, 22.
Excellent. So let's move backward.